Number 7, symbol of completeness. Narrative. 2.17 in the Quran. 2.2 Quranic narratives and events 7. Its reference to the heights or a barrier between heaven and completeness and perfection. 7 often symbolizing cosmic order, resonating with the Islamic principle of air or the 7 colors of the visible spectrum, to contemplate the harmony and purpose in creation. The occurrence of 7 in different contexts suggests and mathematical reflections on its role in the divine narrative. 2.17 in the Quranic cosmos. 7 heavens. One of the most well-known references, the Quran speaks of 7 heavens, Quran 2:29, which has been interpreted in various ways, from literal layered skies to symbolic realms of existence. Days of creation. The creation narrative in the Quran, 41:9-12, mentions the universe being created in 6 days, followed by God establishing his throne on the 7th, mirroring the concept of a divine week. 2.2 Quranic narratives and events 7 pairs on the ark. The story of Noah includes the directive to take 7 pairs of every clean animal onto the ark, Quran 11:40, emphasizing the number's role in divine preservation. 7 oft-repeated verses. Surah Al-Fatiha is often referred to as the 7 oft-repeated verses, highlighting its foundational role in prayer and recitation. 2.3 Mathematical and structural patterns. Surah Al-Araf, the heights. Named for its reference to the heights or a barrier between heaven and hell. This surah, number 7, has 206 verses, which can be factored into 214, showcasing the number's pattern. Other surahs with the number 7, Surah Al-Ma'arij, 70, with its 44 verses, where the sum of the chapter number and verse count, 70 plus 44, equals 114. The total number of surahs in the Quran, suggesting another layer of numerical harmony. 2.4 Symbolic and esoteric meanings, completeness and perfection. 7 often symbolizes the completion of a cycle or process, aligning with the Islamic view of life, creation, and spiritual journey. Mystical interpretations and Sufi thought. 7 can represent stages or states in spiritual ascension, paralleling the physical structure of the cosmos with the inner journey of the soul. 2.5 Theological and cultural implications. Divine order. The repeated use of 7 in the Quran reflects an underlying cosmic order resonating with the Islamic principle of Tawheed, the oneness of God, where all elements of creation are organized under divine command. Rituals and practices. 7's influence extends to Islamic practices like the 7 rounds around the Kaaba during Hajj, symbolizing a return to the divine center. 2.6 Modern interpretations and studies. Scientific parallels. Discussions on how the number 7 might reflect natural phenomena like the 7 layers of the Earth's atmosphere or the 7 colors of the visible spectrum, offering a bridge between science and theology. Numerology in Quranic studies. How contemporary scholars use numerology to explore deeper meanings or to educate about the Quran's mathematical intricacies. Conclusion. The number 7 in the Quran serves as a profound symbol of divine completeness, order, and beauty. Whether through its explicit mentions or the subtle patterns it creates within the text, 7 invites believers to contemplate the harmony and purpose in creation. This chapter has explored the multifaceted significance of 7, encouraging a holistic appreciation of the Quran's message through both its spiritual and numerical dimensions. Questions for further reflection. In what ways does the symbolism of 7 affect the daily practices or worldview of Muslims? How might the concept of 7 heavens influence Islamic cosmology or contemporary scientific dialogue with religion? What does the recurrence of 7 in different contexts suggest about the nature of divine communication? Next chapter, preview. Chapter 3 will explore the number 99, delving into the significance of the 99 names of Allah and how this number represents the spectrum of divine attributes, providing a framework for understanding God's nature and engaging in spiritual reflection. From the ancient civilizations of Mesopotamia to the fitness, perfection, and divine order, in Islam has held a special significance across diverse cultures and throughout human history. It appears in myths, legends, religious texts, and even scientific observations. We see it in the 7 wonders of the ancient world, the 7 days of the week, and the 7 colors of the rainbow. This widespread fascination with 7 points to its inherent power as an archetype. It represents a sense of completeness, perfection, and divine order. In Islam, this significance is amplified as the Quran, the holy book of Islam, repeatedly emphasizes the number 7, weaving it into the fabric of its narrative. The Quran's emphasis on 7 is not merely incidental, it is deliberate, emphasizing the divine order and completeness inherent in the universe. This essay will delve into the multifaceted significance of the number 7 in the Quran, exploring its spiritual, symbolic, and mathematical dimensions. The Quran explicitly mentions the number 7 in various 7 heavens, layered one above the other, each representing these heavens on separate realms but interconnected parts, with God resting on the 7th day. The perfection of His creation. This day encourages believers. This act of preservation highlights God's concept of the 7 heavens. These 7 heavens are not just physical layers, but also represent different levels of spiritual reality and divine presence. The Quran speaks of 7 heavens, layered one above the other, each representing a different level of spiritual reality. These layers signify the vastness and complexity of the universe, as well as the meticulous order established by the Creator. This concept is not unique to Islam. It resonates with ancient cosmological beliefs found in various cultures, including Judaism and Christianity. These traditions also speak of multiple heavens, reflecting a shared understanding of the universe's structure. However, the Quran emphasizes that these heavens are not separate realms but interconnected parts of a unified creation. This interconnectedness highlights the harmony and balance within the cosmos, orchestrated by divine will. Another significant reference to 7 is found in the creation narrative. The Quran describes the creation of the heavens and the earth as occurring over 6 days, with God resting on the 7th day, marking the completion of His perfect work. The Quran describes the creation of the heavens and the earth as occurring over 6 days, with God resting on the 7th day. This 7th day, known as the Sabbath, is a time for rest and reflection, acknowledging the divine order and the perfection of creation. This 7th day, the Sabbath, holds special significance in Islam, as it does in Judaism and Christianity. It is a day set aside for rest, worship, and contemplation, serving as a reminder of God's absolute power and the sanctity of His creation. It is a day of rest, reflection, and a reminder of God's absolute power and the perfection of His creation. This day encourages believers to pause and appreciate the divine order and the blessings bestowed upon them. The story of Noah's Ark also features the number 7. This narrative underscores the importance of the number in the context of divine intervention and preservation. The Quran mentions that Noah was commanded to take 7 pairs of each pure animal species aboard the ark, signifying the preservation of life and the divine promise of renewal after destruction. This act of preservation highlights God's mercy and the continuity of life. These examples demonstrate the Quran's use of 7 to underscore God's power, mercy, and the inherent balance within creation. The number 7 serves as a recurring motif, reminding believers of the divine order and the intricate design of the universe. The concept of the 7 heavens is central to his miraculous night journey, ascended through the 7 heavens. Each heaven corresponds to a specific stage. Quran describes the heavens as being created by God in layers, Quran 67:3, suggesting a hierarchical structure. While the Quran does not provide specific details about the nature of each heaven, it hints at their increasing spiritual significance as one ascends through them. For instance, the Quran mentions that Prophet Muhammad, during his miraculous night journey, ascended through the 7 heavens, encountering different prophets in each level. This journey, known as the Miraj, is a powerful symbol of spiritual ascension and the possibility of human connection with the divine. The 7 heavens in this context become not just physical realms, but also stages of spiritual enlightenment. The mystical tradition within Islam, known as Sufism, interprets the 7 heavens as representing different levels of consciousness or states of being. Each heaven corresponds to a specific stage in the soul's journey towards God, culminating in the highest heaven, the abode of divine presence. Section 4, Symbolic Resonance. 7 invites contemplation. While this might seem coincidental, Al-Fatiha, which is considered the essence of the Quran in Islamic belief, it serves as a mnemonic device, order, and the interconnectedness of creation in the very fabric of Islamic tradition and practice. For instance, the Quran is divided into 114 surahs, which is a multiple of 7, 16 times 7. This division is not arbitrary. It reflects a deeper, divine symmetry that invites contemplation. While this might seem coincidental, many scholars argue that it points to a deeper numerical harmony within the Quran's structure. This harmony is seen as a reflection of the divine order, a subtle yet profound indication of the Quran's miraculous nature. The number 7 also appears in the repetition of certain verses and phrases. These repetitions are not merely for emphasis, but are believed to carry a deeper spiritual significance. For example, the opening chapter of the Quran, Al-Fatiha, which is considered the essence of the Quran, consists of 7 verses. This chapter is central to Islamic worship and is recited in every unit of the Muslim prayer or salah. This chapter is recited in every prayer and is believed to encapsulate the core message of Islam's submission to the will of God. Its 7 verses are a constant reminder of the foundational principles of faith. The repetition of 7 in these instances emphasizes the importance of these verses and their central role in Islamic belief. It serves as a mnemonic device, helping believers internalize the teachings of the Quran. The Quran encourages believers to reflect on the meaning of numbers and their symbolic significance. This reflection is seen as a way to deepen one's understanding of the divine message and to connect more profoundly with the spiritual dimensions of the text. In this context, 7 becomes more than just a quantity. It becomes a qualitative symbol, a gateway to understanding the divine order and the interconnectedness of creation. It invites believers to see beyond the surface and to seek the deeper spiritual truths that lie within the sacred text. Section 5, Al-Araf and Al-Ma'arij, reflections on the heights, witnessing both. This Al-Ma'arij, on the other hand, refers to the... It consists of 44 verses, a multiple of 7 in the text. It uses numbers not merely as decorative elements, but deeply symbolic, reflecting the profound layers of meaning embedded within the Quranic text. Al-Araf, the 7th chapter of the Quran, derives its name from a verse that describes a wall separating paradise and hell, with those on the heights witnessing both. This imagery of a barrier or wall is rich with symbolism, representing the moral and spiritual boundaries that define human existence. This chapter, with its emphasis on moral choices and their consequences, reflects the sevenfold path of spiritual development, culminating in the ultimate destination determined by one's deeds. The narrative weaves through various stories and parables, each illustrating the pivotal role of human actions in shaping one's spiritual journey. Al-Ma'arij, on the other hand, refers to the ways of ascent and emphasizes the arduous journey of spiritual purification. This surah delves into the trials and tribulations faced by those who seek to ascend spiritually, highlighting the perseverance required to achieve higher states of consciousness. This surah's structure itself reflects this concept. It is meticulously organized to guide the reader through the stages of spiritual ascent, each section building upon the previous one to create a cohesive and enlightening narrative. It consists of 44 verses, a multiple of 7, 6 times 7, and is divided into 7 distinct sections, each addressing a different aspect of spiritual growth. This numerical symmetry is not just a stylistic choice, but a deliberate design to reinforce the surah's themes. The prominence of 7 in these surahs underscores the Quran's multi-layered approach to conveying its message. Each layer offers a deeper understanding, inviting the reader to reflect on the divine wisdom embedded within the text. It uses numbers not merely as decorative elements, but as integral parts of its structure, reinforcing the themes of divine order, spiritual ascent, and the consequences of human actions. This intricate interplay of numbers and narrative serves to elevate the reader's comprehension and appreciation of the Quran's divine message. Section 6. Cultural and theological cycle. Similarly, Muslims are encouraged to make and has led scholars to interpret it as a reflection of God's beyond the pages of the Quran, profoundly impacting Islamic rituals, cultural practices, and theological interpretations. For instance, the Hajj, the annual pilgrimage to Mecca, involves circumambulating the Kaaba 7 times. This ritual act symbolizes unity, submission to God, and the completion of a spiritual cycle. Similarly, Muslims are encouraged to make 7 circuits between the hills of Safa and Marwa during the Hajj, commemorating Hagar's desperate search for water for her son Ismail. This act signifies perseverance, faith in God's mercy, and the honoring of a mother's love. The number 7 in these instances becomes embedded in the very fabric of Islamic practice, connecting rituals to Quranic narratives and reinforcing the concept of divine order. Theologically, the Quran's emphasis on 7 has led scholars to interpret it as a reflection of God's attributes. Just as 7 represents completeness and perfection, God's attributes are also considered perfect and complete.